Farmers and ranchers, come to the Ag PhD Field Day on Friday, July 22nd. I'm Brad Swenson, president of Swenson Investments in Commodities in Sioux Falls and Inherent. My team will be there putting on 2 farm estate planning workshops. You'll want to learn the latest information on how to keep what you've worked hard for. Come to one of our 2 free farm estate planning workshops.
During our Farm Basics time today, we wanted to talk a little about ditches, and I love the unevenness of ditches. So here I am high, and now I'm down low.
It's fun. Well, you need a height advantage here and there, Brian. I guess that would be one way to do it. But when you think about ditches, who takes care of the ditches out on country roads? In some parts of the country you drive through, and really the ditch doesn't get mowed all year. There may be some weeds in it. Other parts of the country, somebody's out there with their lawnmower.
Well,
some farmers really go after that.
But here's what it comes down to. Let's say it's a state highway. The state probably owns the right of way. In township areas, so let's say you have a township road, it's a gravel road out in the country in the middle of South Dakota or Minnesota or somewhere, you know what? The farmer owns half the road. He literally owns all the way to the middle of the road, and he's pretty much responsible to make sure that that grass is getting mowed in the ditches. Now, granted, the township usually will go out there and do something eventually, but for us on our farm, we're mowing our own ditches. In some cases, we might even be baling those ditches and using that for feed for livestock.
Well, it kind of depends on where you're at too in terms of population. If you've got 1 farmer per mile, chances are that ditch is going to be very well maintained because there's lots of people that probably live right there.
Now see, I take offense to that, Darren, because we farm 2,400 acres. We also probably have another 500 acres of pasture ground, and we're doing everything we can to maintain these ditches on all kinds of acres.
Sure, Brian, but right outside Brian's house, his son mows the lawn. He gets out there on that lawnmower. He keeps it only a couple inches tall all year, and it looks perfect.
Well, it's for the
but
house.
You know what? A few miles away from your home, Brian, what do you do around those fields?
Hey,
well, maybe once a year you mow them.
I'd say 3 times a year.
Oh, come on.
But
anyway,
besides that, it's not just about mowing. It's about maintaining them. That means weed control. That means weed control also in fence lines. And it also means, hey, if there's going to be some erosion going through that ditch, we might even manage a little bit of that. And I know that's the township's responsibility, or maybe it's the county's responsibility, but we're still farmers. We still live here. And for the most part, this is a job that farmers get no thanks for during the year, but we're doing everything we can to maintain these areas.
Well, you know what, Brian? Let's get real. Township boards, counties, they don't have very much money, and especially for doing some things that, who's going to complain if we let that go a little bit? There's only 1 farmer out there in that area. He probably won't say anything. And really, honestly, it comes down to farmers just going out and doing it in many cases. It's not doing something that, is wrong to do. It's just that the people that should be taking care of it may not have the money to do it. So sometimes farmers just have to step in and do those things.
So once again, we just wanted to make sure you understood that in a lot of areas of the country, farmers have this big job that they don't get paid for, and that is maintaining the ditches and making sure they don't have weeds, keeping them mowed down, and in some cases even fixing that ditch if there are erosion problems or other issues.
Well, you're right about the weed, because if we see some of this weed in those ditches, we're definitely going to get out there right away and control it. It's our weed of the week. Can you identify this week's weed?